Hello and welcome. Janet Beckers here, and welcome to Romance Your Tribe Radio. And I have got a very, very special guest for you today, Kate Perkins. G'day, Kate.
Hi, Janet. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, I am too. Look, everybody, I want you to get your note paper out. However it is that you take notes, if it's pen and paper or on your computer, get ready, because today we're going to be acting as a real kind of case study, but a real insight into what does it take to take your business from like one or two clients through to booked out, expanding, like, you know, just fantastic to watch in an exceptionally short amount of time. So, and this is what Kate's done. So we're going to have a look at what's happened in Kate's business in what period of time, Kate, are we talking about here?
It'll be 2 years in July, so not quite 2 years yet.
Yeah, so not quite 2 years. We're going to see what it's, the exact steps in this rapid rise. And then we're going to look at, okay, how did that happen? Because it did not happen by chance. Now, I've been working closely with Kate, so I've got to see what makes her unique. What is it about Kate that I would just like to bottle up and gift to every single person that I know? What is it about Kate that has meant that this has not been by chance? So we're going to pull that apart about not just we're going to look at the mindset things about what makes Kate unique, and these are things that everybody can model. And then we're actually going to look at the strategies that Kate used to be able to get the fastest results with the least amount of effort. I'm not saying no effort, but the least amount of effort, the most targeted way. So that's what we're going to look at today. So get ready to take notes, because we're going to be explaining all of this to you in a way that you can now apply it to your business. So first of all, Kate, really, really quick intro. Like, who is it that you help? Like, what is your business and who is it that you help?
Janet, so I am a cancer rehab occupational therapist and lymphedema therapist, and my focus is on helping those who have been diagnosed with cancer and who are undergoing treatment or are recovering, to help them become stronger and regain their strength and vitality, I guess, to return to what they love doing.
Yeah, fantastic. And the thing that is absolutely key here is you're an occupational therapist. Now, occupational therapists can cover such an incredibly wide ways that you can be working with people, but yours is very, very specific. Lymphedema, so that's when you get all swelling from your lymph nodes. So specifically lymphedema, even narrower, that it's for people with cancer, to do with rehab. And as we'll be talking about soon, for this very first part that's been building your business, you've narrowed it even further for in stage 1 of the growth of your business. It's really helping a lot with women who've had breast cancer. So I think that this is a really important thing for people to note, that this making these decisions, narrowing things down, has been really core to why these strategies that we're going to be discussing, why they've worked. If you had stayed broad of, I'm an occupational therapist, or even I'm an occupational therapist who specializes in lymphedema, it would have been harder. Would have been harder for you to get. Yeah. So that's really point number 1 I want everybody to take. So think about your own business. How narrow are you going? Like, what can you do that you can be even more specific to help a certain group of people? That's just one thing I want you to ask yourself. Now, Kate, let's just have a look. Let's do a little bit of a timeline to start with of the main phases in your business over this last 2 years. And then we're going to pull those apart later, and we'll talk about at each step, how did that happen? So let's do an overview of it first. So do you want to just tell us, like, right at the very beginning, maybe for the first few months, what did your business look like?
Okay, so I had just finished the qualifications as a lymphedema therapist, and it was literally through that course that I was thinking that lymphedema is quite broad. So it wasn't until the end of that course where we discussed breast cancer related lymphedema and how that can be prevented is when a light bulb went off, and I've thought to myself, there is definitely a gap in services being provided where I am in particular, on the central coast of New South Wales. So it was in April 2 years ago, literally straight after that that I knew that's where my focus was going to be. Excellent. So in developing those services for the early monitoring process for breast cancer related lymphedema. And basically that's where it started.
Excellent. And so when you decided to start there, did you run your business from home? Did you run it? Were you working for somebody else? How did you start out?
I literally started from scratch, and I found the perfect space, so a shared space with other health practitioners.
Yep.
And literally started with 0 patients. So right. I set up all the basics, getting my provider number, got the tools of the trade. So what's called an LDEX unit. It was a U400 right at that point, which measures the levels of fluid within the tissue. So that was the piece of equipment that I needed to do what I had to do.
So you had a big outlay of equipment before you even got your first client. So you were really taking a risk on yourself that this was going to work to get that first.
Yes.
Yeah, to get this. So when we met, you already had a few clients. So how did you get those first clients?
I did education sessions with GPs and some specialists, but it wasn't straight away that I received referrals from the specialists, because I still had to do, they didn't catch on straight away. So I continually did education around breast cancer related lymphedema, how I could help their patients in particular.
Yep.
So at the start, it was general lymphedema conditions that I was seeing from GPs. So I would get the trickle in from one GP, and then I would get back out there and do more education sessions with the GPs in the area to get their referrals.
Excellent. Now, the thing that I really like here, and this is one of the things that we talked about when you first started and came and worked with me, was I love that you didn't try to go out and just find the clients yourself. You identified straight away that, you know, these people have already got to go and see doctors before, you know, in order to even know that they need some help. So they're going to go and see doctors. They're going to go and see specialists. So that was really wise, that instead of just trying to advertise to everybody, is you went to the people who had your clients. So that's a really sensible thing to do. But I think another thing that I really picked up that you've done there, Kate, is it doesn't work immediately. It's a bit of a long game, because first of all, you know, they've got to remember, you know, they've got to be educated. So you've got to get in to, you know, run a session to let them know what you can do. You've got to wait for them to get the right client. You've got to wait for them to remember that, oh yeah, there is Kate that can do it. And then they come to you. So a lot of people will give up if they didn't get a referral from the first one that they did. So I think that is a really important thing for people to note here, is you didn't give up when you didn't get results immediately. So can you remember back then how long it took for you to get that first client? Yeah. Think about it.
The first client or the first referral from one of the specialists?
Oh, whichever one was the most significant for you.
Look, I think it was the most significant, first of all, was my my first patient.
Yeah.
And that was a referral from a physio where I was sharing the rooms. And it was probably a couple of weeks.
Right.
It was a couple of weeks. And I very vividly remember that that very first appointment. I was actually quite nervous. I was very, well, I'm always thorough. But yeah, I can remember back then it was very special. And I still have that particular client with me now.
Oh, do you? That is fantastic. You know, it's funny, like, I still remember my very, very first client that I had through Wonderful Wear Women, and they spent $37 with me. And honestly, you would have thought it was 37,000. Like that first person, there was dancing, it was partying, it was nervous. Oh, are they going to like us? I so get it. So yeah, that first one is so important. So there's an important thing that you had your outlays that you had from the equipment that you purchased.
Yes.
That's not cheap. You also had, you were paying rent. You had premises that you had a part of. All of those other ones. That's a big risk to take for anybody. That always comes in business. So, and that was weeks before you even got the very first client. So, again, this is another lesson. Yep. It's trusting that they're going to come. Trusting that you put things in place, and you're not just waiting. You are actually communicating about what you do. Now, let's look at the next stage. So what was the next stage then that you think happened in your business?
I think instead of sitting there and just waiting around and twiddling my thumbs, in that time that I was quiet, I was continually upgrading my qualifications. So I was continually increasing my knowledge around, at that time, breast cancer rehabilitation, which involved scar tissue management and the assessments involved. And just I evolved as a practitioner in that time as well.
Excellent. That is a really, really good point, because as we will find out, you actually investing in your professional development in that specific niche has actually been an important thing when we get up to the stage that you're at now. That so you've got that credibility as well, not just for the clients, but to the people who are going to refer you as well. So that's a really good point. So you're investing your time into the education of the GPs and the specialists, so getting them to know what you do, and then also investing in yourself. So you're aiming for excellence in what you do. That's brilliant. So the next phase then that came in your business, so then you started getting a rapid growth in your clients. Would that be the next stage, do you think?
I would think that the flow of the patients that started more so around when I had my first referral from a breast surgeon. So with the services that I provide around early monitoring for breast cancer related lymphedema, we need to get the patient in prior to starting their breast cancer treatment to get a healthy baseline reading of, in this case, healthy baseline of level of fluid within the tissue, which is an LDEX reading. So at that point, and it took, started in the April, it wasn't until the November of the same year was the first specialist referral. And then after that, it's really started picking up. It started gaining traction.
Right. So from the 4th month to the 11th month. Yeah. So 7 months before strategy that you were using of the education to the specialist before you got the referral. Again, most people would have given up by then. So, but in the scheme of things, when we're going to see, like it's only been 2 years and it's, the growth has been huge. But up until then, you were sharpening the saw, basically. It's that classic line. If you've got to chop down a tree, you're going to spend, if you've got 4 hours to do it, you'll spend 3 hours sharpening the axe or the saw is the classic thing. So that's what you were doing at that stage. That's brilliant. Now, I remember when we started working together and we were looking at, okay, what's going to be the best thing for you to be focusing on, to be able to get your business, because we wanted to make it so that you had, your full customer books before we started doing anything online. I remember this was one of the things, is that we went, okay, well, this is what's working for you. This is what's working really well, is the referrals. What can we do to systemize this so that it doesn't become ad hoc, and that as you start getting busy, that it doesn't get dropped? And I remember that was one of the first things we did, is worked out, okay, how many phone calls are you going to make per week to those, and how many appointments are you going to get? How many presentations are you going to do, so that we can systemize it? And there are so many other things that you could have focused on putting your effort to, and any expenses to. But the big thing here was, well, what's already working? Let's just double down on that, rather than trying to spread yourself too thin. I can remember, Kate, when we started with that, can you remember we said, okay, let's do good, better, best goals for this. I think it was for the month, was it? Or I think for the month.
It was for the month. And so that was in the January of 2018 that I started working with you. And that's when we set those goals. And so the good was having two new patients per month, and then better was 4, and then best was 8. And I think in that very first month, I had 8 new patients. So we just skipped the good, better, and we got to the best.
Actually, I can remember.
Pretty much straight away.
I can remember it was 10.
Yes, it was 10.
It was 10 because I can still remember going, wow, because when we set those 2, 4, 8, the 8 is meant to be like a real stretch. But yeah, because, and this all comes down to Kate here, because we worked out, all right, let's do a double down on this strategy, the strategy that's working. And then this is one of the things that I really want people to notice is, we'll talk about the good, better, best in a moment and how that works really well. But once we identified what Kate had to do, there's pushing yourself out of your comfort zone there, because it's making, you're making phone calls, getting appointments, getting knockbacks. That's a lot of people. I've given a very, let's do a similar strategy, not the same strategy that you've done, but it's going to have to be, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone and contacting people. They won't do it. Whereas you just went, right, that's what I've got to do. I'm doing it. And look how it paid off. Like, just your focus and discipline, and you know what, this is out of, makes me feel uncomfortable, but I'm just going to do it. And that's the result you get. So it's
it's a no-brainer, really.
Right.
It's funny because what I come to realize is that actually no one else was doing that, and I couldn't understand why no one else was doing that.
Right. It's funny, you say this quite a bit. I don't get it. I don't get why people don't. It's and that is the mentality that you want to have. This whole idea of a lot of people will go, oh, I haven't made those phone calls, or I haven't sent those emails, or I didn't send that letter because of excuse, because really it pushes people out of your comfort zone. But I find that Kate says this is quite a lot. I don't get it. Why don't people do it? It's because you're not going to second guess. So bottle that bit of Kate, because that simple attitude of, I don't get it why people don't do it, because I'm doing it without thinking about it. I'm not without questioning it, is the thing that gets the results. It's not rocket science. It is that incredible. Yeah, let's just do it. So, and it's probably something that you take for granted, Kate, when you go, I don't get it why people don't do it. Other people from the outside will look at it and go, I don't, I can't believe how focused and disciplined and brave she's been. So and for people who are listening, which one do you want to be? Really, which one do you want to be? The one that's looking at other people and going, how brave is she? Or the other side going, I don't get it. Why aren't you doing it? So that kept on progressing, didn't it? You know, you just kept on doing
it. Did, and I still do it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's the nice part.
I still do it.
Because now you're busy. Because so if we sort of kind of condense, because for me that this next phase has been every single week, Kate turning up to our group calls going, oh, I've just had the best week yet. I've just had the best week yet. I've just had the best month yet.
It's getting better.
Yes, because you just kept on working that simple plan, that one strategy that worked, and you focused on doing it exceptionally well. Now, I think at this point, it's probably good for us to now talk a little bit about joint ventures. Because we have, you know, I was going to do the summary and then we'll go into the strategies, but let's cover it here because I think it's going to help people to see why the next phase is happening. So you talked about, you know, the first referral from a specialist took 7 months of you doing this strategy, not as, you know, totally doubling down on it, but doing that strategy. Now, because this is the thing is once you get one, then it can start to snowball if you do things right, or it can just stop if you don't kind of realize what it is that you were doing well. So let's talk a little bit about, so you got that first referral. What happened then? Like, how did the referrals keep on coming? Was it coming from you getting the new people that you were doing the education with? Was it more referrals from the one person? Was it, you know, them telling their mates, you know, when they get together in their, you know, surgeons booze up, you know, that they were, you know.
A bit of both, really, because when you have a look at the medical team that's involved, there's the surgeons, the oncologists, the radiation oncologists, and their GPs and breast care nurses. So I need to communicate with that whole team and to let them know what I'm doing and how I'm helping their patients recover. So it was a bit of both of the communication between the specialists themselves, but also my communication individually with them. And so it widens that referral base.
Yeah, and I think this is an important thing here is you've mentioned the word communication quite a few times, and this is something I think is that some people just get totally wrong when it comes to communicating, and we'll go into this joint venture referral type relationship. I'll dive into that a little bit more in the theory that I use around power imbalances in a moment. But where people go wrong a lot is they either go, oh, okay, you know, I'm trying to build my business, you know, so that it's going to be as hands-off and automated as possible. I get this a lot because people come to me looking for automation stuff. We didn't even start talking about the automation stuff for nearly a year, you know, setting it up. But a lot of times, sometimes people will just try to go too hands-off with the communication, and they'll try to automate as many stuff. So in that case, they might have had some sort of follow-up emails that went to the different surgeons, or, you know, they would have automated a lot of those sorts of things. They either do that or they go the other side and they go, oh, that was great that they got it. I'll wait now for the next referral. So they're inactive. They don't follow up. And the thing that I've noticed particularly about you, Kate, is you're actually having phone calls. You know, you're ringing people up, you're sending messages, you're letting them know what you're up to, you're building relationships. And you know what? They're just humans. You know, even if these may be people who have got, from your point of view, may have a lot of power in the relationship because they're the ones that with the clients, they're the ones that are, you know, amazing at what they do. It can be incredibly intimidating to try to contact people like that. But they're people. they're humans. So
Exactly.
yeah, so I'm curious about when it comes to you building those relationships, what is it that you have found, is there something that you've found that's been almost like a common thing, something you've got in common with each of those people? Or why do you think
Well, I'm passionate
the time?
about just being myself and talking to them as if I'm talking to you. I'm very passionate about what I do. So it's just giving them a call to let them know, hey, this is what I'm doing with your patient. They want to know. They would like to know that their patient is receiving gold standard of care. So it's just normal conversation. I know they're busy, and I realise that. But they're happy to talk as well. So it's just being myself.
Yeah. And you know what, when it comes down to because I mean, my business Wonderful Web Women started and built all on joint venture partners, all on relationships. So I didn't have any money to spend on advertising and stuff. So that was what I just did for years and years and years. And so one thing that I recognized right from the beginning, and it was just per chance, and it's something I've recognized that has been core to the success that you've done, is if you are really, really passionate about what it is that you do, then people who are already well established that may seem to have a lot more credibility and power and influence, even though they will recognize, oh, here's a newbie, here's me established, there could be an imbalance here. They recognize the passion. They recognize the passion, and it's not a passion for your personal success. It's a passion for actually really helping the people that they're passionate about in the same way. So I think that's something that's been really quite clear with the way that you've approached it. So when you're saying just being yourself, absolutely, you're being yourself, but make sure, for everybody that's listening here, I want you to think about, like, what are you passionate about? What are you going to get off the fence and feel so strongly about that you're not going to get splinters in your bum? Because people who sit on the fence get splinters in their bum. Kate does not have splinters because you are passionate specifically around the rehab exercise part of this. So that's what people are going to be recognizing. So that's my challenge to everybody that's listening. What is it that you are passionate about? Because if you're going to be working through joint ventures, that is the thing that's going to open the doors for you. That is the thing that's going to make them listen to what you've got to do, even if you're just starting out. So really take the time to work on that. Now, okay, so now, Kate, I think the other thing when it comes to joint ventures is a really important thing here. We mentioned at the beginning that you were continually investing in your own personal development, specifically on this particular topic. And I also know that even while your business has been growing so fast, which means at the moment your work is doing, like, that's time with you. So it's your time at the moment that you're selling. That's changing as we'll be sharing with people. Is you still have been investing in your own professional development, not from a point of insecurity of I'm not going to be taken seriously until I've got enough pieces of paper. The thing I've noticed about you is you keep on investing, but it's because if I do this, I can help my client do that, and I don't have that knowledge yet. So did you want to share just a little bit about why you've done that? How did you choose what you were going to invest your education in, and what impact has that had on the growth in your business?
I think it's just been a natural progression where I could see, okay, for example, minimizing the risk of developing breast cancer related lymphedema. Exercise is a big component of that. Reducing or minimizing the adverse effects of someone going through chemotherapy. Exercise rehab is a big component of that. Right. So Before I completed the Pink and Steel cancer rehab qualifications, I qualified to be able to facilitate a program called Strength After Breast Cancer. And that has been a huge benefit to so many of my patients. So I did that qualification to be able to facilitate that program. And it's with that program that when I started doing the videos, making the videos for each of the exercises in that particular program. And then progressing beyond that is getting the qualifications specifically around being a cancer rehab occupational therapist, which goes, extends just beyond breast cancer rehab.
Right.
And widen that vision to include cancer rehabilitation.
Yeah. So I think the important thing here is, for people who are listening, is I'm not saying that you've got to go out and get as many qualifications as you can. The important thing is what's perhaps knowledge or skills or even relationships that you need to get in order for your clients to get the best outcome. Now, this may or may not even be an official qualification. It may be you simply doing an online course that's going to give you the specialty to know something else that you couldn't do with your clients. That's really, that's an important thing for getting clients' outcome. And we'll talk about the Strength After Breast Care next, I think, what we'll be doing there. But the other thing that I've noticed there, Kate, is you started getting the attention of the people who were referring people to you because you were able to now provide services that nobody else is doing, because nobody else had your combination of the expertise that you've put together.
It's just adding more tools for the toolbox.
Yeah.
So each thing that I was doing was, each, qualification was just being able to add that extra bit of service that's going to help those patients.
Yeah.
Something even as simple as doing a lymph taping course. Another tool for the toolbox. So that's a natural progression. So my business has definitely evolved naturally.
Yeah. And again, this is coming down to being very, very specific on who it is that you're going to help and what your specialty is, and aiming for real sort of excellence in a narrower area, and to then be able to communicate what it is that you're able to do to the people who've got influence. So let's just move on a little tiny bit. I want to talk about the Strength After Breast Care, and I'm just going to check our time to make sure that we're doing fine. Now, with the Strength After Breast Care, I want to talk about this in 2 points, because one of the things that people are going to be asking is, okay, because when you first started, it was more like, people were paying per session. And so that was one of the things that I'm really quite passionate about, is if you're going to get the best results with your clients over, say, 6 sessions or having something else, well, that's better for the client and it's better for you, for your business. So you want to be able to package that together so that the clients, you're not doing like every single session, you're trying to get them to book in for the next one. But also, it's what else can you be bundling in there that's going to mean your clients are going to get the best results. So if we talk about the Strength After Breast Care, it's come in 2 stages, hasn't it? That first stage was putting together packages, like an offer for people of saying, well, this is how much my Strength After Breast Care costs, and this is what's in it. These are for people who were seeing you in your room. So did you want to just expand on that a little bit more about actually creating an offer, and how does that make a difference to your business?
So originally, and this is just when we started, I started working with you, Janet. My aim was to video every exercise within that program to provide a library, so those patients who have signed on for the program could access those
Yeah.
videos. So when they finish with me, they can go home in the comfort of their own home and watch those videos in their own time. And so then it was, the light bulb moment that came on. But what you suggested would be a fantastic idea is let's be able to put this, create this online, which I would never have thought of doing.
Right, and that's where I go.
But
why didn't you think of that?
That's where you come in.
It's that, the classic thing when I get to actually talk like Kate does.
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. And so that's evolved, and then your guidance behind, okay, well, let's create the three videos to draw people to the program. But the difference with the online program and the program within the practice is it's packaged a little bit differently, because those who are signing up online would only get to see me like this via a Zoom meeting. They're not actually having that one-on-one face-to-face in the clinic. So there's a bit of a difference.
Yeah, but the thing so this was one of the things that, and this is what we might talk a little bit now, because this is the stage we're at now. So you've built the business where you're booked out. We'll talk about in the very last minute about the exciting step that's happening now and your big vision.
Yep.
But so we've built up that step. You've created this suite of videos in order to help your existing clients, because we've created these bundles for them to get into the program. Now so it's pretty well booked out. Like, the amount of free time that you have now is minimal. So then the thing is because Kate is so passionate about, if just the women who are having breast surgery do these exercises, and even better if they do them before they have the surgery, their life is going to be so different. Like, it's going to make a difference. But then Kate's only here on the Central Coast, and she can only help so many people because you've run out of time, basically. So it just makes absolute sense that if you've got a way to help more women, then let's go international. There is no need for you to only be limited to the coast, because you've got this great resource and you've created it in a way that's going to be safe for them, that they can be working in hand with their doctors with it as well. Like, you've really taken into account, their whole, medical team, not just here's something to buy. And this is the exciting part. So this is the stage we're at right now, is just in the last week or so, is now Kate's created this fantastic opt-in. So where do people go to be able to get like 3 really good exercises now that they can be using that's going to help them with their recovery?
People can go to the homepage at Lymphatic Solutions, and it's right there, smack bang in the middle. So click on the link, and you can get 3 free videos to start off with. Just simple stretch, a core exercise, and a weights component. And then there's the option there to purchase the whole suite.
Yeah. And so the nice part here, so if you go to lymphathicsolutions.com.au and just put like HTTP in front. Now, if you go to there, so you can see what we've created for Kate is so people can actually get some help straight away. So, and that's for free. That's your opt-in. And the nice part about the online program is, so it's got all of the videos, but it's also got Kate doing the worksheets, and here's how you can be doing the exercises, and here's how you can get my personal help, which, we've got lots of big visions for what's going to happen on the next stage there. I'm sure we'll do another podcast when we talk about that next stage. But so when Kate and I were talking here beforehand about, how to get now this message out to the world, to as many women as possible, because this can be helping anybody in any country. And it's also, unfortunately, something that touches so many people. So So we were thinking that one of the best things is, first of all, if you've got a friend who, or if it's you, that is really going to benefit from this, if you're in that situation now where you're either about to have breast surgery for cancer or you've just had it, this is going to help you. And the program that Kate's created is really caring and thorough. But also, as you may have gathered, Kate, you work really, really well with joint ventures, with getting your message in front of the people who already have your target market. And so that's one of the things that we were thinking that would be fantastic outcome from today. So so some of those would be, so we were talking about you being a podcast guest is a great way.
Yes, that would be fabulous.
Yeah. So if you had, Kate, somebody who was listening here and they have an audience of women or even medical people in your field, so either the people who need you or the people who work with them, if they already have an audience and that's what their podcast is for, what sorts of things would you talk about on that podcast?
Education around how the program would be able to help their particular audience. Education around the benefits of exercise rehab and cancer rehabilitation.
Because
it's just so simple. I've seen the benefits from my patients of even starting before their treatment, and they come out stronger after their treatment's finished. So I would love to get that message out there and be able to, open people's eyes to see that there is something available for them.
Yeah.
That's and fantastic. To share,
sorry, go on.
Just to share that passion. And with joint ventures, I think for me, if I'm talking passionately and there's a two-way conversation with the other person sharing the same passion, I know then that is the right connection.
Yeah. And I think that's an important thing. So both having that same passion there is the really important thing, because the other side that comes of a flip side with joint ventures is when you do talk to them, you can tell if they really do have the customer's interest really top of mind, rather than, oh, I can see that you're going places, I want to get on your coattails. It's a very, very different approach. So that's, I just say that because I get that a lot, and you've already had that happening as well. So that's, people who are really passionate about this same topic make a really fantastic person to be able to build those relationships with, to help each other. So
absolutely. Sorry, Janet, going back on that, the joint ventures. So most recently I've been in discussions with another GP who is equally as passionate about providing education around lifestyle and rehabilitation for the cancer patient population. And so we're talking about creating a program together. So, that's super exciting. So if anyone wants to talk about that sort of thing, absolutely, I'll be more than happy to.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think that's the next stage that comes with joint ventures. Is it's also, well, what can we create from scratch? What can we co-create, something that's not out there, that for me to do it on my own I don't have the skills all the time to be able to do the whole thing. But if you've got somebody else that's got those complementary skills, is to be exploring that possibility is really, really good. So I think we've come just about to the end, Kate. Let's just talk very, very briefly about the next stage, what's happening now in the growth of your business, because this is a pretty exciting thing that's kind of consuming your time at the moment, isn't it?
It is. So the most exciting thing that's happening at the moment is the fit out of my new clinic. So I am moving literally right next door to where I've been practicing and sharing. I've been working out of a room for the last 2 years pretty much. So I'm now creating my own space that's going to have a dedicated exercise rehab space. So I've got 2 treatment rooms. So if anyone's out there who would like to sign a room, let me know. But the most exciting thing is to be able to have that warm, welcoming space and a dedicated exercise area. So that's what's happening now. That's, my brain is about to explode with getting all of this organised, but it's going to be awesome.
And you know what the exciting part is? This is step 1 in this big vision to be able to create a purpose-created, you know, collaboration of a place where people can come and they're going to get everything they need for cancer rehab. I just think you've got this big vision and that's been drawing you, and it's just so lovely to see every single step coming into place. So just in a summary for people who have been listening, first of all, we've talked about the mindset of, do you want to be one of those people that when you can see that there is a strategy, which is whatever's been working for you, ask yourself what's been the best results that you've got. Like, it doesn't have to be that it's been, you know, forming relationships with, you know, doing education of the people who can refer. It might be that one of your things that you get the best results with is speaking to breakfast groups. It might be running webinars. It might be doing Facebook Lives. Whatever's worked best for you, look at it, where your client's coming from, and double down, build a strategy around it. And then be like Kate, where you just bloody well do it. And go, I don't, you know, and be one of those people that go, I don't get why people don't just do it. You want to be one of those rather than, oh, I can't believe that they did it. You know, they're so brave. So that's the mindset. Which one are you going to be? It is going to be your passion and your vision that is really going to connect with the people of influence. That is a real balancing between the powers of, I've got influence, I'm a starter. It is your passion and you focusing on the client and that vision that is really going to make the difference. And then just that keep on going forward. You're playing a long game, which may seem really long when you're waiting 7 months for your first referral from some education that you've been doing. But then you look down, you know, like not even 2 years later, and it's grown so fast, you're about to go international, and you've had to now, instead of renting a room, you've actually got your own place and you're going to rent rooms out, you know. So 2 years doesn't seem long, whereas that 7 months may have seemed an eternity. So if you have the long game, you know, mentality, it ends up being a short game.
Can I say something that, Janet, it's just popped into my head? I remember when I very first started and sharing rooms, there was a psychologist who was sharing a room next to me, and he said, you know, it takes about, 2 years for your business to really kick off. And I was thinking to myself back then, whoa, I've got a long way to go. But it's now, I can understand where he was saying, I think now it's, almost at that 2 year point, it's really kicking on. So he's probably right.
Yeah. It's exciting. Watch this space, folks. This is Kate's just going to make a huge impact. I just know, because she's not going to stop, because she can't understand why you wouldn't stop,
No.
So,
just keep going.
Yeah. So thank you
it's
so
taken
much.
On a life of its own.
Yeah. Well, actually, we were just talking about that the other day, weren't we? Kate's a surfer. And, you were just saying it's got a life of its own. And it is very much like, you're on this huge wave, almost like a tsunami. And, once it's built its own momentum, all you got to do is just stand on that board. As long as you stay on that board, it's just going to keep on taking you where you want to go.
Just ride the wave.
Riding the wave, yeah. So, and the way you get to ride that wave is doing just exactly what we've been talking about today. So thank you so much for your time, Kate. Let's just repeat where people can go to connect with you. So that's lymphaticsolutions.com.au is the best place.
It is. Yes. So if you put in https:// lymphaticsolutions.com.au, that's where all my contact details are, and opt in for the 3 free videos.
Yeah.
And if anyone has any questions, they can contact me on mobile.
Yeah, sure. Well, how about we'll just leave that there on the website so that people can contact you through there. The reason I've just gone there was because I know that Kate's going to get so busy that the mobile would be a luxury. So yeah, I'm always this protecting Kate because I can see this, you're going to get flat out. So yeah, so if you go to lymphaticsolutions.com.au, you'll get all Kate's contact, her mobile if it's still there. But at least now you'll be going into your own place with, you've got you've got the lovely Kath that's going to be there, answering those calls and helping people to be able to make a time with you. Yeah. And also you can come and, over on social media, you'll find Kate over there on Instagram and also Facebook.
On Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you so much for your time, Kate.
Thanks, Janet.
It's been such
it's been a pleasure
to be part of this whole process. It's been really, really exciting. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to just seeing these next steps. And I would one of the best things for everybody that's listening here, the best thing that can be great feedback for Kate and for I is, just if you're wherever you're watching this, whether you're on the website, whether you're over on social media or anywhere or on YouTube, getting this in your email, wherever it is that you are listening to this or on iTunes or whatever, just leave a comment. Let us know what were your big ahas? Like, what have you taken from today that you're going to be able to use in your own business this week? That is fantastic feedback. So come and find us and just let us know. It would really, really help. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Janet. It's been a privilege. Thank you.